What is going on, everybody? We're in Indy. We're at the combine.
Cool, baby.
Wrapped it up. A full day. We got to see the DBs go through the regimen. Got to see some of the guys we talk about a lot on this podcast. I'm trying to see it. Please comment.
I think it's working.
Is this a good? Oh, yeah. Are we good? How's the stream? Give us feedback. It's the first time doing it on the road. But boys, we have two mics. How we feeling?
I feel great. I feel this is the first time at a combine. We were live there. We met Jim Harbaugh, and walking around, it's like everyone is here. Like the whole NFL world is here, which is cool. But we got to see DBs, different things. I'm pumped. I like a certain person today that I came out watching, and I'm like, that's a Booner guy. He is going to be a part of the Booner path. So.
The craziest part about today, boys, is when we first got here, within like the first 10 minutes. So we get to the hotel, we're checking in, and they had to move the car, and we were seeing if we could get this going in a conference room. And so they go out to the car, and I'm sitting by this computer, and this dude just sits down next to me. What's up, man? I was like, what's up, man? So I'm just chopping it up with him for a little bit. He's like, what are you doing? You've been in Indy for the last couple of days? I'm like, no, we actually just got here. Me and my buddies are going to the combine. He goes, oh, okay. And we just kind of bullshit, and I ask him what he's doing. He goes, oh, I got a couple players for me there at the combine. And so he's an agent. I'm like, oh, who do you have? He's like, Roman Wilson. So I'm chopping it up with him. We get his number and everything like that. So hopefully we got a Roman Wilson connection come to the show soon. I'm hoping. There's no guarantee, but he's got him. He's got Latu. He's got a couple guys that are already in the NFL, Rasheed Rice, stuff like that. So it's a pretty crazy experience.
So what we're gonna do is when each of us talk, mute the other mic.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. Okay. It's a little quiet too, so we have to take it down a tone here.
So is that how you mute it?
It's how it's gonna work.
Is it muted?
We want to go through a little bit of what stood out to us, and as well as some of the things that I don't know if you guys can hear both of us too. Is if it's an echo, try to mute your guys' mic. Oh, okay, all right, then we're good. So I want to start. We'll get right into it. We got to see Kamari Lassiter. We got to see Terrion Arnold. We got to see some guys that Max Melton. Late round guys that we had in a lot of our mock drafts. And the whole experience down here in Indy's cool, man. It's a lot of fun. Like Booner, you guys mentioned, we ran into Harbaugh. That was fun meeting him. Shout out to Nicholas Earl, by the way, just became a member, Crunch member. Thank you for that. And we got to see Quinyon Mitchell. And I want to go to the fellas on this. Anybody that stood out to you specifically, anybody that shocked you, maybe rose stock or lowered stock, because I think I can think of one person that definitely lowered stock a little bit, and that's Terrion Arnold.
Yeah, I think his stock got lowered a little bit by obviously the 40 time, but it kind of looked like he didn't even give his all towards the end, and it kind of looked like he gave up. And there was a few corners that we really seen like that. But one of the guys was obviously Quinyon Mitchell. It seemed like every drill that they did run, he was flying through it, and he looked really at ease throughout the whole day. And I know I kind of skipped over me at the beginning, but we also did see Jackson Powers Johnson when we first walked out of the combine. And that dude is enormous. That was the biggest human being I have ever seen in my life. He was ginormous. But Quinyon Mitchell really stole the show for me. But there was a few other good guys. I had a whole list here. I'll pass it to Booner real quick while I go through it. But no, Kamari Lassiter, he was pretty good until that last cone drill. That was really the one that screwed his day up. But other than that, Quinyon Mitchell was really my guy that caught my eye.
Lucas?
For me, I think the guy that stood out the most was, I know we talked about it, Booner, he's a little undersized, but Max Melton. Max Melton crushed the combine. I know we talked about him a little bit yesterday as well. Renardo Green, I thought he had a really nice, solid combine. He did everything with the ease it looked like. I didn't see him really mess that much up at all, but Max Melton was the guy who I was like, I had some question marks about him just because I didn't know too much about him, but without a doubt, his stock rose day. I believe he ran a 4.39, or was it 4.33? I couldn't remember. It was a 4.39. 4.39 because Quinyon was right around the same area as him. But when he ran a 4.39, I did not expect that at all. And when you look at the guys like Terrion, who he's a good player, and I don't think people should be freaking out over him running a 4.51. Like, I think he showed you he was the best corner in college football this year. So if you want to freak out and say now he's going to be a bust because he runs a 4.51, go ahead. But I don't think it's going to lower his stock. But for guys like Max Melton, who was like a third rounder, fourth rounder, potentially like late second rounder, I think he locked himself into the second or third round now.
Yeah. And my kind of takeaway too with it, and I kept telling you guys this when we were seeing these guys run, I'm going to go through these drills where Quinyon Mitchell, first of all, he's like, when people like say like he stands out like in front of everyone, like when you're out there and you're like, you don't even have to see his name up on the screen. It's just that's Quinyon. Like you know who he is because he is big. Like he has a big just build and he is fast. Like he's quick, fast, twitchy. That everything you want in the corner, Quinyon Mitchell is that. And then on top of that, if I'm being completely honest too, Max Melton. This is what I told. Remember when I told you guys when we were sitting down was I was like Max Melton's just as quick, just as fast as everything with Quinyon. The only difference is I saw them standing next to each other. It's just Max Melton's smaller, and it's like very noticeable. So it's like, do you want a guy with size? And that's I think that's what separates Quinyon being like a top 25 pick and Max Melton being a second round. It's like that size. It's like it does matter a little bit, especially if you're looking for like an out like the type of corner you're looking for to fit your defense. Quinyon though, and I said it for like the last 2 days when we did shows. I was like, I don't know if I want the Lions to go corner in the first round. The only guy I think now that I would be like, I want him in the first round if they make a move is Quinyon Mitchell. Like if they trade up and go get him, I would be happy with that. And before it was like D line, get a weapon, whatever it is in the first round. Quinyon Mitchell today, like just seeing him in person, he stood out from everyone else. Like even Terrion Arnold, like he was good, but he dropped some like there were some things that like it was all right, but Quinyon just I don't know, it felt like he dominated. Same with Max Melton. It's just his size. That was the only thing that I like looked at you guys. I was like, he does noticeably look a little bit smaller, whether it's that's like strength or if that's just like height. It felt like he looked smaller. I love Quinyon Mitchell. He's a part. I hope he's a part of the Booner path.
Well, and I think the thing with just this draft or just this combine in general, which we didn't get a chance to run into Brad Holmes. We're still going to search for him though, because we want to find out his big board. But at the end of the day, the combine is used to confirm what's on tape, right? If a player plays fast, you want to see him run. And I think a lot of guys, you got that confirmation. I do think some guys, even Kamari Lassiter, yeah, he was a little disappointed today. Didn't run the 40. I'm sure he'll run it at his pro day. I think the last time he ran one, it was reported like 5 or 4.5. So that's a little concerning. Didn't have a great day. But even the guys that you did like Max Melton, to me, you talk about his size, his weight. I mean, who cares? You watch the tape. He tested really well. Not saying, I know Lukas calls it the underwear Olympics. You probably don't live by this like it's the Bible. But I do think for the late round guys, it gave him an opportunity to go either way. And Max Melton, to me, was the biggest one. Quinyon just makes you look effortless, though. Like, he's just an effortless athlete. He ran like a 4.33, and it just looked, I mean, he was flying, absolutely flying. I mean, they popped up stats on the board there, and Quinyon Mitchell had 18 pass deflections last year, and some guys don't have 18 pass deflections in their careers. So I'm with you, Booner. I think Quinyon, if you're talking in the first round, he's the guy to me. Kool-Aid didn't test. He's dealing with an injury. We saw him out there, though.
Still go Quinyon.
I think Quinyon, to me, is he's going to be an elite corner. They actually compared his numbers, comparables to Marshawn Lattimore. And I think he's going to be that type of player. I do.
I got a question, though. So after the combine, because a lot of people do start freaking out as far as, I mean, you could even see it in pass drafts with cornerbacks when they start running 4.5s. So Terrion, I think, was the consensus number one. And I think there was some noise around Quinyon possibly being the number one corner after today. Do you think there's a chance that Quinyon, not a lock, but there's a higher chance that he's the number one corner taken off the board?
Yeah, and wasn't Nate Wiggins one of those other people that was considered one of the top corners? And we've seen both him and Chris Abrams-Drain both go down after running their 40 and not being able to finish the day. So, I mean, I did already think he was a top 3, top 2 corner going into this draft, and then when you kind of add in some of these other corners that were highly sought after going down, I mean, they're not serious injuries, but, when you're not getting a whole combine day missed because you pull something in a 40-yard dash, that's certainly going to hurt your stock. But overall, I think Quinyon Mitchell definitely helped his draft stock today. He just had an outstanding day. Like Booner said, he was one of the easiest guys to just pick out from anywhere. Half the time we were there, they didn't even show the player's name until after the fact. So you kind of caught which players were running late. He was one of the guys who immediately noticed off. He had a fantastic.
Nate Wiggins, too, the fact that he right away just had the fastest 40 time instantly and then got hurt and left, I think that did help him out a little bit to where it's like his injury helped out a little bit because he like instantly showed out and he was like, I'm probably the best here. And then he was out. I would have liked to see him thing, but obviously that didn't happen. Mikey Sainristil, boys. Mikey looked good. I know he didn't have the best 40 time, but like he had a good ball around. He had a 40-inch vertical, like that absolute dog for that. Like he looked good. You could, every time he was up, you didn't even need to see who was up on the board. You could tell it was him as well. So there, I just think that like at least my takeaway from the combine is I've never been here and seen it in person. And typically, like when you're watching on TV, you have the names up there and all of that, but like in person, you don't have those names, and I think that makes it that much better to know like who's going to stand out because then like like when Quinyon Mitchell went, you didn't even know who you didn't know he was up, but by his skill set and what he was doing, you're like, that, like that was Nate Wiggins that just ran that. Like you could tell. So
And real quick too, I want to go to Lukas on this too, because a lot of DBs, it doesn't feel like the typical year for at least the last couple of years, right? There's always been a guy, like a top 3, top 5 pick. And that's how it seems lately, but just how, the game's changed offensively. The elite wide receivers you have in the league, guys are taking corners at the top of the draft. And this year, it doesn't seem like there's that guy. There's not a top 5 corner that's going to go. Now, there are good corners. That's why this combine, I think today was super interesting for us because we got to see guys that could potentially raise that stock even higher. And I think Mikey Sainristil is one of those guys. Like, I think he's in, and I'll go to you on this too, Lukas. We watched all the drills. Mikey, and it's funny, Jim Harbaugh was in attendance, and I think he's going to be a Charger. I mean, how do you not? They need a guy like Mikey anyway. And I don't think that's a hot take or anything like that. But Lukas, we were sitting there watching Mikey, and the thing we noticed is fluid. He's a gifted athlete, former wide receiver, has hands. He's a specimen.
Yeah, and I think what you notice a lot too is even in the later on in the drills when they do the one where you got to flip your hips, you open up and you track the ball down almost like you're in cover 2 or something like that. You can see that Mike used to be wide receiver with his footwork and with his hips and opening up and just being able to track the ball. So not only did he show you that he can contribute to the run game massively on tape, but just with his natural raw skill set, you can see he's going to perfectly transition into the NFL as a safety, or if you want to use it as a nickelback, however you want to use him. I think Sainristil is a player that regardless of where he lands, he's going to be able to produce because he has such a diverse skill set. But the question, not even the question, going back to your point about the draft class, about how there's not a top guy this year. And that's why I kind of posed a question about Quinyon because, yeah, Nate Wiggins ran a 4.29, but boys, Nate Wiggins weighs the exact same as me. Nate Wiggins is 6'1", 6'2", 170 pounds. And you can, like, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player, but when you're taking a corner in we'll say even the top 15, because I think that's where Wiggins is going to go, how sure of a home run hit is that if the guy's my size? And obviously he's a completely different type of athlete, but when you just look at the frame of players, how durable is he going to be able to be? How consistently is he going to be able to tackle tight ends, running backs, players of that nature? And then you look at Terrion, slow 40 time, Quinyon, great combine, but he played in the MAC. There's so many questions around the corners in this draft that it's going to be really interesting to see how this all actually unfolds when it's time for teams to be on the clock.
Yeah.
All right. The one thing too, I wanted to bring this up too, because this guy had a bad day, and I think it might have been the worst. And I hate it too because he's from Detroit. Kalen King from Penn State, he had a rough day. Like rough day.
It just didn't look like he was trying.
He second worst time out of all the corners, 4.61, and ran it twice. Everything it felt like he was doing that. I'm pretty sure he might have dropped a pass. I believe someone told me. I think he might have dropped the pass. He just didn't look great, and I don't know what he tested in the kind of the vert and in the shuttle and like all these other ones, but it felt like he had a bad day. And then that was a guy too, like when we had Russ on, who all of a sudden was what is this one? Oh, Toledo Ultra Wi-Fi. But when we had Russ on, that was something where Russ was like, Russ even said like, hey, he struggles tackling in an open field. Like there's certain things he struggled on. And that makes me worry. Like Kalen King might have dropped his stock a little bit today. And I truly think that it was not a good day for him.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that not only did it look like Kalen King's going to struggle against the run in the NFL, but it looks like Kalen King's just going to struggle in general. If you're running a 4.61, I know I make a big deal about how people freak out about combines, but when you're talking about a 4.61, you run a 4.62, you're skinny, you can't tackle. What value are you really bringing to an NFL team? Especially, he wasn't locked down at Penn State by any means. Like he was not some just force on the outside that was creating a 30 QBR when target. Like the guy, I think I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm not an NFL GM. I can't see in the future, but I don't see any way that Kalen King translates over into the NFL. I think the combine was a way for him to boost his stock, and it sunk it even more.
And real quick to even make that point even more laughable, and again, Kalen King from Detroit, Dallas Turner. We're checking the numbers, and obviously we didn't watch the defensive ends. We got here today, but Dallas Turner ran a 4.46. He ran a better 40 than Terrion Arnold, his teammate. And he's what, 6'4", 200 something pounds. That is wild. And of course, there's the Chop Robinsons of the world who ran a 4.4, I think a 4.48. Yeah, so when you look at Kalen King, it's like there is no reason you should be running a 4.6. And that's the tough part. He ran it twice, got a 4.6 on both times. So, again, is the 40 the Bible? No, but if it's something a time like that, that's where it's a problem. 4.6 is a problem as a D. That's bad. A wide receiver where, you can get away with it because of your route running abilities, or, you can get open. Like Ahmed Rao running a 4.5 is not the end of the world, but Kalen King running a 4.6 twice is.
It would be different if he had like good tape. You know what I mean? Like Terrion Arnold running a 4.51, I can look past that because I go look into the SEC at 5 interceptions. I want to say 12 to 13 pass breakups, and that when you have Kool-Aid McKinstry on the other side, where it sounds like it'll help, but sometimes Kool-Aid's going to be balling out, so now they're targeting you pretty much every snap of that game. Terrion Arnold, I'm not worried about because he has tape to back it up, but guys like Kalen King, yeah, that's definitely a big area of concern.
Yeah, and another guy, and shout out to Dallas Turner. That's just insane to hear. Like that's faster than so many people. And I know the 40 time does not mean everything, but two other guys that me and Booner were watching closely today was Cam Hart. He looked a lot of good in a lot of his drills. I know his 40 time wasn't crazy. I want to say it was only like 4 or 5. And then Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky. I've never heard of this guy. I've never seen him in a mock, but that was another dude that caught a lot of me and Booner's eyes rather. And he did that drill where they showed Brian Branch before. I forgot what the actual name of the drill was. And he straight crushed it. He was probably one of the best people aside of Quinyon Mitchell at that drill. So we might have to run some more tape on that guy. Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky was one of my winners of today as well.
And real quick before we mute this mic, someone put in here like Brian Branch ran a 4.6 as well. So I'm just and I want to give this to the people as well. Kalen King, him running like a 4, like it wasn't just his 40 that was bad. Like it felt like all day he struggled a little bit, and that's not bad on his end. Like if you look at his RAS score, it's like one of the worst out of all the corner. Like everything today, it felt like for Kalen King just wasn't like he didn't put together a good combine. I don't think that's not. And going into the draft, hearing the concerns about him not being able to tackle, struggling, like can he translate to the NFL? Like hearing that and then coming here and seeing Kalen King perform and then not perform, like it was like, okay, he might not be the guy. Like his stock just dropped a lot today. That's where I came out of it. It's not even the 40. It was everything. Dropping pat, like it was everything.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention if you're going to use Brian Branch as the example, Brian Branch is a nickelback. Kalen King is not even sniffing the interior of a defensive box. There's no way. He's strictly a perimeter corner. And when you perform like that, I understand that 40s don't show everything, but you need some speed, okay? A 4.61 is like a white slot receiver who's just going to do it all. You don't want that out of a cornerback. Like athletically, he did not look like anything special. And when you don't have special film, you got to have special talent. And he proved that he does not have that.
Too, like that's the point you just made, Lucas, is the tape has to match. Like it's different if Kalen King was, his tape, it has great tape, and then he runs a 4.6. Like Brian Branch, you can get away with. I mean, it's like, the player Brian Branch is, you just can't pass up on a guy like that. But you just made the point. If your tape is great, and then you do that, it doesn't help you. That's why it's not like the 40 times the Bible, but it helps, again, confirm things, right? If Kalen King was slow, he was getting beat on tape, and then he runs a 4.6, you're like, okay, I could put those things together. So that's where that comes from. It's not like you base this off just 40 times, but you look at the player first, and then you use the combine to confirm that. And it seems like Kalen King needed a big day today to at least be like, okay, there's like the RAS score. There's some potential. He's got some athleticism. His recovery. If you're running, low 4.4s or 4.3, you can. If you're getting beat, you can recover. If Kalen King is getting beat running a 4.6, I know people say we're not always running a straight line, but you are, if you're beat, that's the thing about Tariq Woolen, right? There'll be times where he's beat, but the dude can run a 4.3. So and he's big. He's 6'3", 6'4". I know he's a random example, but that's the point, right? Like it's to be able to recover and still make a play. And if you're running 4.6 and your tape isn't great for Kalen King, it's tough to do. So
I think we all can agree to end this corner conversation. Quinyon Mitchell might be the guy for Detroit. If you want a corner and you want to like trade up and make that move, like he had a formal meeting, I believe, with the Detroit Lions as well. And Brad Holmes, like he's someone who met with the Detroit Lions. I think that's a guy on their map, and he's like a Dan Campbell guy too. Like we've heard kind of how he goes about his daily life and how he goes about everything. Like that is a Dan Campbell guy. So I'm on the Quinyon Mitchell. Like he is part of the Booner path. I would welcome him with open arms to Detroit. Trade up for him.
Yeah, as much as I'd like that, like we're all licking our chops at him after seeing him, and we're hoping he falls to 29. Brad trades up. Obviously, falling to 29 is like unrealistic. It won't happen at this point. But you got to think of all the other teams that are looking at him now after this pro day. And I just think almost right now it's almost unrealistic that the Lions trade up and get him, or he can even afford to trade up and get him with like all the assets they would have to give up, because man, he's looking great. Like Booner said, he is by far the best cornerback that we've seen today, and it's like without a doubt. But I just don't even think that he'll be in the Lions realm anymore after a day like today. I know it doesn't mean everything one combine day, but other teams had to have taken note on that too. So,
yeah, and I just think the whole thing with where the Lions are at in the window, it would have to be like a top 5 prospect that we already alluded to is not in this draft class for me to be okay with Brad giving up draft capital when he can trade back and get even more value. When you talk about, okay, you can go sign a Stephon Gilmore free agency, you can go sign a Dory Jackson. I'm throwing out names. You're not signing a Kendall Fuller, hopefully. But either way, if he does do that, you can go get 2 guys on the inside where if we love Quinyon, but again, there's questions around him because of the conference that he's playing. And can he translate? Absolutely. But there's still questions. I don't want Brad trading up for questions, especially at a position like cornerback where it's already so insanely hard to succeed and make an impact in the first couple of years. Because you don't know what's going to happen in 3-4 years, especially with the quarterback situation. Yeah. I'd rather just stay put or stay back and get a guy like a Max Melton in the 3rd round rather than trading up. And I'm not saying this to diss Quinyon. I'm just saying for what the Lions need to sustain.
So this is what I'll say to that too as well. And I'm a Quinyon guy. I think all of us in this room are, and you could be a Quinyon guy and still agree with that, because the whole last 2 weeks we've been like, hey, we would rather go defensive line at 29. We would rather trade back, get more assets. We would rather go Keon Coleman than get a corner just because of the way the draft. Like we know you're going to have to use assets to get a Quinyon Mitchell. So like we know, like if you're not about doing that, then it's not going to happen, because he's not going to drop to 29 after today. So I think that's out of the picture. But what we saw to Max Melton today, I think we all agreed. Like I loved Max Melton. He's a little smaller and he's not a Quinyon Mitchell. But the one thing that we all agreed on all week was you either trade back or stay at 29, get a defensive lineman, get a weapon, go get your 61st pick, and then in the 3rd round, if Max Melton's there in the 3rd round, you just got a corner. And on top of that, what we talk about with Jeremy Reisman yesterday? He brought up the point, and exactly what we've been saying for the longest is go draft a corner in the 3rd round, 4th, 5th round, draft a guy and bring in a vet to kind of for him to learn behind. Max Melton is like the perfect guy to where if you don't want to use a 1st round draft pick on a corner, you go get Max Melton in the 3rd if he's going to be available there. I don't know after today if he moves up, but like if you have a 3rd round pick, or maybe you have to move up a little in the 3rd round or late 2nd again, or back into the 2nd to get him. But if you get him and you go get a vet corner, I think that's a good scenario if you can't go and trade up for, and if you don't want to waste assets on Quinyon Mitchell. That's where I think that's actually a really good, like, that's a good way to go about it, because he did look good today.
Yeah, that's why, earlier, and I agree with you about Max Melton. We've taken him in a lot of our mock drafts. So I think he's the guy that I'm all for. I think we're all for if you don't take one in the 1st round, which assuming, even a guy like Kamari Lassiter, I think Max Melton's the guy if you're not taking a guy, or Kool-Aid McKinnon. Those guys are probably going to be gone early 2nd, late 1st. So Max Melton's the guy. I think we've established that, not just from today. I mean, this is before that. It's the tape, and it's the attitude he plays with. Corner is hard. I mean, if you're not drafting, we've had this discussion ad nauseum too about late round corners and how it's not a popular thing. Late in the 1st round, excuse me. That turn out to be superstars. It's hard. I mean, Trent McDuffie's one of the only few that are picked in the 20s and tend to work out. Usually second, third, fourth round picks. L'Jarius Sneed, 4th round pick. Maybe Max Melton's that guy, and I would tend to lean that way. He's a guy that we talk about a lot, right? You sign a veteran for the Lions. He comes in, he holds down corner 1, corner 2, whatever you need him to do. And then a Max Melton, he's able to develop. He's able to gain some weight, learn, still play, obviously. But he's a guy that year 2, year 3 can really, I think, develop into a really good corner. I do want to ask you guys, too, tomorrow we got wide receivers, QBs, running backs. Obviously, you don't need a QB, depending on who you ask. I know we were talking to John. Love you, John Macaroon. He brought up JJ McCarthy. But regardless, wide receivers, man. I'm excited. I'm going to ask you guys the question. Who are you kind of looking forward to seeing tomorrow at wide receiver? I'm going to give it to Lukas because I already know where he's going to go. Yeah. I think the obvious one to me, I know Luke's going to go a different route. Keon Coleman. I want to see this man run a 40. I don't know why. You could say, Jeff, the 40 doesn't. I just want to see it. He's an athlete, and I'm curious. I would go Keon Coleman because I'm intrigued about him at 29. But Lukas, give me your pitch.
My pitch. It's not even a pitch. It's just a fact at this point. And Brad Holmes even proved it today. Guess who the Detroit Lions had a visit with today, fellas? The one, the only, Xavier Legette, the man out of South Carolina. I don't think he's going to run the fastest 40 time, but I'm really going to be interested in his shuttle, his route running, especially when they're throwing down the field with the quarterbacks, how he tracks the ball. But Xavier Legette is definitely the guy that I'm excited to watch. And the fact that Brad was had a formal interview with him today, I'm telling you, boys, and Booner, you brought it up. You saw a mock draft where he was picked late in the first round. If you're having conversations about Keon Coleman going at 29 and Keon Coleman goes to like the Bills and Brad still wants to take a wide receiver, a weapon, Xavier Legette at 29, I think after tomorrow will not be so insane like some people might think it is.
Mute. All right, I'm unmuted. No, I'm with you on Legette. I'm excited to see him. And actually, it wasn't a mock draft that I saw talking about first round with Legette. It was your god, Theo Riddick, Lewis Riddick. Theo Lewis Riddick. It's been a long day, dude. We've heard a million. We've heard a million names today. So help me out with that one. No, I think there's a few guys though. Obviously Legette, I'm excited to see. Keon's a guy that I think is going to be there at 29, and you're going to be able to I want to see exactly what he does tomorrow. I'm excited to see some of these guys catch the pass. I want to see who's going to drop passes, forms under pressure. I don't really it's going to be interesting. I think seeing these guys actually out on the field moving and who's going to kind of perform under that pressure. There's a handful of guys. Brad McConkey, I believe he's going to be out there tomorrow. I'm excited to see him. Brian Thompson. Hey, a couple of guys. Donnie Mitchell from Texas. Saw him. He's staying at our hotel. We saw Donnie Mitchell outside the lobby today when we were going to the combine. He's a guy like Roman Wilson. I think he's staying. I think Roman Wilson's staying at our hotel. So these are guys that I think they're. If you guys really look at it and just pull the list up of wide receivers on here, there are dudes that are going to be there tomorrow, and I'm excited to see because there's going to be guys who maybe make some moves or stand out a little bit. And I don't know about you guys, but I think at 29 and 61, get back into the second, I think there's a chance that Brad does look at this wide receiver, especially Jeremy Reisman yesterday talking about looking to the next 2 or 3 years. If Jamo doesn't work out, move on from Jamo or Josh Reynolds moves on, you need to keep that offense going. Don't be shocked in the first 2 rounds if a wide receiver's taken off the board. So tomorrow's a big day, I think, for the Detroit Lions. Quarterback wise, they're not talking about quarterback. JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm still hyped to watch JJ, but no, I mean, you named 6 guys right there. But Roman Wilson was one of mine, and then Adonai Mitchell we seen actually earlier when we were going to the combine. He walked right in front of us when we don't. Oh, yeah, Booner almost tripped him. Walked out of the hotel room. That dude has some size. He's built. So chill. But no, and he's real athletic. So that's another guy I'm interested to catch passes tomorrow. And then Neighbors. He was such a baller at LSU, so I'm excited to see him tomorrow. And obviously, I said already, Roman Wilson. He talked to his agent a little bit earlier. Maybe he can plug an interview after a big day tomorrow. But that Roman Wilson definitely one of mine. Blake Neighbors, and actually Romo. I don't know but Scott's guy, he out of Washington, he's a baller too. So that's another guy I'm looking forward to seeing.
I think another interesting one, and you kind of brought it up, and I don't think he'll be there at 29. I just don't think there's a way. Maybe he is. Brian Thomas Jr. And Lucas, on our way here, we're watching Brian Thomas Jr. highlights. We're checking out the film. Highlights are funny because it's all the great plays, and that's how we like it. Because especially while we're in the car, we're watching Brian Thomas Jr. And man, he had a huge breakout year. He's a junior, and he had 300 yards freshman sophomore year, and he exploded with Jane Daniels. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a top 15 pick. I just think that's where he can go. Yeah, I do. I think top 15, top 20. I don't think he'll be there. If he's there, to be honest, guys, I will take him over Keon Coleman. I will take Brian Thomas Jr. I believe that. He reminds me, he's 6'4". He's probably going to run below 4'4", probably high 4'3", and he might even get lower than that. You watch him on tape, and this is another guy that Brad's going to confirm the speed in which he plays, because you watch him on film, SEC DBs can't stay in front of him. Nobody can. They're playing 10 yards of of off coverage. They're giving him 10 yards of space, and he's still getting open 5 yards for Jay McDaniels to hit him. Or Jane Daniels. So I think for Brian Thomas, that's an intriguing one. I would be all for him if you trade up and get a guy like that. I think his potential it's interesting. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to Steve Wilds, who just donated $20. Thank you. We appreciate it, to help for the trip expenses. Thank you, Steve. You're the man. We appreciate you. We also have a member, Christina Marie Rossi. I believe I pronounced it correctly. Thank you for becoming a Crunch member. We appreciate you for that. But I think Brian Thomas, guys, I'm interested. He's kind of been slept on. Malik Neighbors has been the big story at LSU, but don't forget about Brian Thomas. Damn, almost 20 receiving touchdowns this year. Almost 20.
Another one I want to throw out here too, real quick. And by the way, I just want to shout this out. We're 25 subscribers away from 4,000. At 4,000, I believe we're going to do a Detroit Lions jersey giveaway at 4,000. So make sure if you guys aren't subscribed and you're watching, we're 25 away. And if not, share it with someone, share the channel, share the stream with someone, tell them to subscribe. Maybe by the end of the show, we hit 25, and then tomorrow we can put out a jersey giveaway. But the other wide receiver I'm actually excited to see tomorrow is Troy Franklin out of Oregon. 14 touchdowns last year. I think he's like 6'3", and I think he could be a dog. And he could tomorrow, if he shows out tomorrow, that's a guy who moves up a little bit. I'm excited to see, and I know, Lucas, you talk about it a lot, and some of us, we had these conversations. Like, you really can't, do you trust the numbers at the combine enough to put guys up, and does that really show it all? I could be wrong, but I feel, and you're a former wide receiver. I feel like with wide receiver, when you see some guys speed and some of these catches that they can make, what can they do tomorrow? I feel like, at least for a player like a wide receiver, that shows a little bit more than a corner or something like that, because that's what you want. You need a guy that's quick. You need a guy to see what his cuts are. So I think a Troy Franklin. I think right here, this is what I'm looking at. What is he ranked? 49th overall in the draft right now, and the 9th ranked wide receiver. I think you can move up, and he can jump some guys if he comes out tomorrow and puts a good 40 up, and some good numbers up, and a vert, and goes out there and makes some plays. So Troy Franklin, maybe.
Him right there, Jalen Polk. He was the number 2 slash. What?
It's a dog. It's a dog right there, Gentry. Jalen Polk's a dog.
Number 1 slash number 2 wide receiver in the Michael Penix offense. He was fantastic all year. You can really call him a wide receiver 1. I mean, he kind of fell off towards the end of the year, consistency-wise, but he's a dog. He can really do it all wide receiver-wise. And, for him to be falling this late, behind all these guys, if you can get him in the later rounds, that would be a steal, in my opinion. He's a number 1 on a lot of college teams. And obviously him and Rome Odunze and Michael Penix just naturally spreading the ball around may have driven that down a little bit. But, he's a dog, and like I said, he's easily a wide receiver number 1 on most college teams, and will be a steal in the later rounds for most NFL teams.
Yeah, I think something that he kind of fell victim to was the same thing that Terry McLaurin did, where Terry McLaurin, if he was anywhere outside of Ohio State, he would be a top 10 wide receiver in the country. But the fact that he was the number 2 and even sometimes number 3 wide receiver, ended up being a 3rd-round pick, and he was a stud, and you could tell from a mile away, but he just didn't have all the tape to match up with it. But kind of to what you were saying about Troy Franklin, Booner, as far as what the combine can do, when you have a wide receiver who is like Troy Franklin, where you all remember when John Ross ran the 4.26, whatever it was, when he broke the record, and then you go back, and it's like, yeah, he had nice film, but you could see he was strictly a deep threat. He was never going to be a true wide receiver 1. When you look at guys like Troy Franklin, who's 6'3", has 14 touchdowns. So he shows you that he can do more than just be a deep threat. And then he's a guy that can go out there and run a 4.29 like Nate Wiggins as well. If you're 6'3", running a 4.29 that has solid tape, and it's not like he had Jaden Daniels back there. I understand that Bo Nix is a solid quarterback, but Bo Nix was in college football for 6 years. He's seen every type of defense, and he was playing with a really good defense this year as well. So he had a lot to support him. So for a guy like Troy Franklin, I think it really lets you see what his ceiling could be. So that's why it improves his draft stock so much.
Yeah, I mean, between Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman, I mean, we're in for a treat tomorrow. I'm excited. I mean, I know J.J. McCarthy, the Lions aren't going to take him at all. And he's not going to be there, obviously. He's going to go. I mean, it's funny. He had the interview today, and he named his favorite wide receivers to watch, or his favorite wide receivers in the NFL. Isn't that interesting, right? Justin Jefferson, Devonta Adams, and JSN on the Seahawks, 3 teams that are rumored to be acquiring JJ. He's not going to fall past Seattle, in my opinion. So it'll be nice to see him throw the football. Just see the touch. Lucas talked about this, and he nailed it on our last live show, kind of going into what you're looking for JJ. I think touch, that was a big thing with him. He has the potential. You're just looking for, the accuracy is there with JJ. It's really just the touch on the football. Michael Penix will be throwing the football. Bo Nix, those guys. It'll be nice to see. I'm excited for tomorrow. The running backs, hey, Braylon Allen, is he participating?
Don't forget about Blake Corum.
Of course, Blake Corum.
Yeah,
Bucky Irving out of Oregon, and he can really do it all. Can catch the ball and can run. So that's going to be another one to look out for running back wise.
Great point, Mike. Hey, real quick too, the JJ thing. I'm interested to see that tomorrow too, because that was something I talked about it last week. Is there was like he obviously didn't get a lot of reps in at Michigan because they like in the NFL you're gonna have to throw 25, 30 times a game, especially some of these offenses that he's probably gonna have to go into. I mean, you see how many times Kirk Cousins throws it. So if he goes to Minnesota, he's gonna be throwing 40 times, 35 times a game. He's never done that in his career, and you've seen like at Michigan. Anyone here that's watching and is a Michigan fan, some of the throws he makes, like it just gets away from him sometimes, and it's just a little overthrow. Like he's got a cannon, and like he can throw a dart, and he can make plays. But sometimes it's like he just doesn't throw, and like he doesn't get enough reps into where it's like it gets away from him because he's not making those throws all the time. So I'm interested to see like what he's been doing the last couple weeks, last couple months of the season. What he does tomorrow. That's gonna be the big one. Him, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix. Those guys are the top 3 that are throwing tomorrow. Those stocks move a lot tomorrow. It feels like every year, like guys getting make or break where you're going in the first or second round in the combine, like the throws you're making. So it's going to be huge tomorrow for those 3 guys. I'm interested. Shout out Blake Corum as well and Roman Wilson.
And also, I want to say to 0-16. He just became a Crunch member. So thank you for that, brother. Elgato, thank you for the $2. Says you guys are on the road dedicated to your craft. We appreciate you, Elgato. We actually were figuring this thing out, trying to get it the best quality. It's not perfect, of course, but guess what? We're committed to making some content. So that's all that matters. We'll be back on Monday, back to our normal setup. But today, man, we're in Indianapolis, like we said, live in Indy for the NFL Combine. We'll be there tomorrow. Watch the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. We caught the DBs. Didn't watch tight ends because, quite frankly, Brock Bowers didn't participate, and we don't care. So we left.
We've got an all-pro tight end on our football team right now.
We don't need tight ends. So we were able to stay. We saw some people, like we mentioned, Jackson Power Johnson ran into him, Jim Harbaugh. It was nice. Booner benching 225. People actually believe.
Is there a way we can play that?
No.
We're already limited.
He was moving.
Go to our Twitter.
He was moving that way. Easy work. But what's up, Lucas?
I was just gonna say, I saw a couple people mention about Ennis Rakestraw. I just wanted to, and then TJ Tampa because they're asking about him running corners. For me, Ennis Rakestraw was already off my board, and just so we can kind of clear it up because I saw a bunch of comments about it. But at the combine, he did not do anything thrilling. I think he ran as well as like near a 4.5, and I believe he dropped a couple with through the cone drills, and he just did not really wow me. So I think the fact that you're dealing with an injury, and then he had a poor combine, I think he fell off. And then I didn't even see TJ Tampa. I don't think he participated in the combine. If he did, I didn't see anything from him. But yeah, I didn't see Tampa at all.
I don't think so. Maybe even I'm pretty sure Rakestraw got banged up on the last drill. I could be wrong. Yeah, he suffered a groin injury. Rakestraw did. So I don't believe we saw TJ Tampa, but Rakestraw was one of the guys that Scott, I believe, talked about and was pretty high on up for a late round corner. So that was like 3 or 4 people that we seen get injured just today and not be able to participate. I don't know what actually happened with Brock Bowers if he did get injured. Like, did they say what happened injury wise with him? No, but like he was supposed to go, and then all of a sudden he's just not going. So it was kind of a weird day. You've seen a lot of guys run a couple drills and then get banged up and then get immediately take it out, obviously for their own good. But yeah, NX Rakestraw had a decent day.
Um, I just got some breaking news here. Not like crazy breaking. I don't want you guys to be like, oh no. But one thing I mentioned this today. I think I want to start getting into the breaking news game. I think I want to start. I want to be like Adam Schefter in Michigan, in Detroit. I think I want to start making some connections, and I want to start breaking news. I mean, there's no one that really does it, right? Like it's Adam Schefter, it's these big time dogs. I think it's someone. I think we need someone in Detroit to break the news. I think I want to be that guy. I want to be an insider. Yeah. Can I do that? Is this a thing like that?
More desires.
I mean, I've done it my whole life, and here I am. No, I think I want to do that. But breaking news, though, kind of here. I just saw this, a rumor, kind of a rumor that the Falcons. The whole thing was the Falcons trained for Justin Fields, and they were the favorite to get him. There was that video that came out of saying that you're going home, and he was jumping, all that. Reports are that it's an overblown thing going on right now, and that the Falcons actually prefer Kirk Cousins as their top option. And they want to bring Kirk Cousins. The market for Justin Fields isn't as strong as many believe. Bears might not get the package they're expecting for so.
I want to say this too about that. I think or you're muted, correct?
Yeah.
You're good. I just want to say that with the whole Kirk Cousins, and I think now I want Lucas to speak on this because I'm curious. Oh my goodness. Hold on.
I had on mute even if we're echoing. I love you so much, Coach Walk. I love you, man.
What? Okay. Just go through them all. Okay, let's go through them all. This is amazing.
Love you all,
guys are blessing us tonight. Xavier D, $5. Thank you for that. He says tried to make it a 6'9" to honor the heavyweights. And then thank you for that. We appreciate you, brother. Robin's Nest. Let's all take a moment to appreciate the Holmes era. No Ebron, no Williams, no Okuda. Feels weird after 40 plus years to have faith in to the GM. Robin's Nest, we are 100% with you. We are more confident than we've ever been heading into any draft. And then Coach Walk, thank you again. You keep blessing us just like all you guys continue to do. Coach Walk, thank you. He donates $100. He says gas and beer money. Booner, get yourself a pina colada. Have fun, boys.
Shout out Coach Walk, man.
Hey, yeah, Coach Walk, you are the man. We appreciate you. And we just got one too from Jonah. Thank you for the $5. He says, after seeing Booner lift weights today, I'm so locked in on Booner Path. It's unreal. You go, oh gosh, man. That is amazing. Thank you to everybody for continuing to watch, support us in any way you can possibly do so. I want to open it up to mailbag a little bit, see if people have any questions for us, just being here or in general. And I saw some questions I do want to get to here because I just saw it. Okay, Bon J. Hunter Dart will start us off. Is Quinyon Mitchell CB1 now after today? I would say yes.
I got something against you. I want to say yes. He is my number one. I'll say this though: in the draft, Nate Wiggins going down right away. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but like I would have liked to see him throughout the whole.
Guys.
I would have liked to see Nate Wiggins throughout the whole thing because those were two guys that were right like 2022, 2023, like projected, like back and forth. And Nate Wiggins just not being able to test at all today outside the 40 and having test 40 time. It is a little like wish I could have seen that.
It's not like
that would have been huge.
It's not like I dislike Quinyon. There is a little bit I dislike about Nate Wiggins. Like I said, he's 6'2", 170 pounds. Lukas Klotz, I am 6'2", 170 pounds. It's not a good frame to have. The cornerback one in this draft, I don't care that he ran a 4.51, is Terrion Arnold. You look at the tape. That's all you need to do. Maybe,
yeah, but mistakes, boys.
But if you're gonna, and I'm not saying you, there's just because this is the question that's being asked. If you're gonna raise Quinyon to number one over a guy who was the best corner in the SEC because of a 40 time in a combine performance, underwear Olympics, it's fair to raise Quinyon's draft stock, but for him to just completely overlap the number one corner in this draft, I think it's crazy. Do I think there's a situation where Quinyon can be the first corner taken? Yes, but do I think it makes him the best corner in the draft? No. And I still like Quinyon.
Got a mailbag.
Well, and real quick, I want to say this on that, and we might all disagree, which is actually better for content come the draft. I've always thought of Quinyon as CB1, so it doesn't change for me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I agree with Lucas. I don't think you should be, if you're going with Terrion, he was one of the best corner, if not the best in the SEC. You go with that. I don't think a combine like today should change everything for you. I just like Quinyon the most, and I still do. Besides him playing in the MAC.
I agree that those are kind of 1A, 1B, Terrion and Quinyon. Agree on that.
And I think too, like what we like again, like we opened the show up with Quinyon, like he stood out there today. Terrion looked really good. Quinyon and Mitchell just stood out to me. So that was where, like, Jeff, I'm kind of on your side to where I would put Quinyon. Like if I was going to draft and I could draft any corner, I would say I would go Quinyon Mitchell just today. Like he stood out. This two question real quick because this has to do with corners. Bonji said mailbag. We're seeing Mikey round 2. I don't know where you guys are at with that. I think he's a second round guy, late second, maybe early third. Am I wrong? Or maybe third round?
If we're being realistic, I could see the Packers taking him in the first round.
Mikey Sainristil?
Wow. Teams that need safeties, like if you're sitting in the back of the second or the back of the first round, even early in the second, if you want to say that, I'll listen to you. But if you have you're a solid team and you're just trying to get best player available, like if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have Darnell Savage and Rudy Ford as your safeties. You want to take the guy that played in Michigan, so he's going to be used to playing up in Lambeau. He's dealt with those conditions before. Obviously, it's Wisconsin, not Michigan, but he's played in the cold in big games. He can play both corner and safety. They're probably going to be losing. They already lost Rasul Douglas. They're going to be losing Jair Alexander, so they could use a guy in both corner and safety. So if he goes in the first round of the Green Bay Packers, I'd be like, yeah, that makes complete sense, and I think it's a good pick, regardless of what people think about the value.
Yeah, I mean,
I love it, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's where I actually like the point you made. Mikey's an interesting one because I could see him going in the first round or the second round. I think if they take him in the first round, I'd have no issue with it, based on what you've seen with Mikey. I mean, did you see Polk's comment on Mikey Sainristil? He said he was he was the toughest player to play against in college football because he called out everything we were doing before we did it. Like that's football IQ. The tape checks out. Had a good combine. Again, not that combine's everything, but it definitely confirms what you saw on tape. I keep saying that, but it's true. Yeah, I would agree with Lucas there. Let's see here. Let's try to get some more questions. Let's see. I know someone asked about our experience meeting Jim Harbaugh. Because we'll talk about that. Just kind of the more fun side of it.
Can I tell what I said? Can I just tell what I tried to do?
Yeah.
So Mike saw Jim, and he wasn't up in this suite or anything. He was actually sitting with the fans. I think he was sitting with Mikey Sainristil's family, actually, I believe. So he was over there, and we saw him. And he left. Obviously, all these people are getting pictures with him, blah blah blah. And he goes out back and behind the where everyone is, like the concourse. And I was like, Mike's like, let's go. So I went. And I walked right up to him and I said, "Hey, my name's Booner." And I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Hey, Coach, it's Booner. My name's Booner. We were at this place, Crunch Time Fitness." I said, I didn't say fitness. I said we just launched Crunch Time. Like, we wanted to introduce you, let you know what Crunch Time is. And he looks at me and goes, "Awesome, man. I gotta go." So, and then we got a picture. We're like, "Here we get a picture." He's like, "Yeah, real quick." He was going. I think the tight ends were about to start. And
Kalen Bullock was running his 40. I wasn't there.
And Lucas was the only one that didn't go. He doesn't care about Michigan, but he was gone. Like, he had to go. I think he wanted to watch the tight ends, but he knows who Crunch Time is now. I said, "Hey, Booner, Crunch Time, brother. Nice to meet you. What's up, Coach?"
And Booner made it sound like he just skated or whatever. No, he was really cool, and he was talking to
Very nice guy.
Well, I spotted him from farther away, and then I seen him. Obviously, he was sitting with Mike's family or whatever. So when he did get up, we went and talked to him, introduced ourselves, and Coach was very straightforward, and he was very cool with a lot of the other people we seen him taking pictures with. So shout out to Harbaugh. He's getting down with the fans today and really showing love to all the people. So that was really cool.
It's funny. I mean, Jim's one of those guys where he's so nice that even when he's like, "Hey guys," after we chopped it up with him for a couple of minutes, he's like, "I got to go," but he says it's so nice. Like he's just like, "Hey, hey guys, I got to get going." He could have easily been like, "Guys, I'm out of here. Like, see ya." Like he could have probably made it sound more like an asshole, but he's super nice. So
knows his head now. It's Booner.
Yep, and again, it was nice to meet him. We got to see, like we mentioned, the story about just running into Jackson Powers Johnson, which he is a massive, massive human being. I mean, we walked out of the convention center and we saw him walking into the convention center, and that dude, man, Jared Goff won't get sniffed with that guy at guard.
So when we first walked by him, we're walking out of the thing, and Lucas literally put his head down because the dude was so big. Lucas got scared, put his head down, walked past him. I was like, that was fucking Jackson Powers Johnson, because I looked up and the dude's like 3 feet above me. He is fucking huge. So like that was just insane. He's probably one of the biggest humans I've ever seen. Like he was.
Gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. We've checked out some food spots. We went to Hooters. We got some wings.
Wait a second. What are you talking about? We checked out some food spots in Indianapolis. We went to Hooters. Like, what? Like we go, dude. I lived in Saginaw for 5 years, and that was like let's go to Hooters.
And we walked around and looked at the food spots. We checked them out.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't eat anywhere besides
Okay. The way you said that, you were like, checked out some food spots. We went to Hooters. It's like, oh man.
All right. Well, anyway, we walked around Indianapolis. We got to see some nice places. We're gonna go and check out them after actually the show too. And
got
tomorrow.
a spot for us.
Shout out, Coach.
Yeah.
Was it Coach
Coach Walk? Yeah.
Shout out Coach Walk.
Coach Walk. I've got a spot for us too. Otherwise, I'm ready. I'm gonna get this going.
Let's do it. Let's see the Ronin 99 mailbag. What's the best swag you got? Well, actually, and I know you guys can tell. Buy our quarter zips / hoodies. These are the unofficial. We call them what do we call them? The prototypes. The prototypes. The trials. We're wearing some crunch time gear. We have other gear that's coming soon. I know it's been a month. We're trying to get the merch going. We got the emotes done. We're kind of knocking one thing out at a time, but merch is on its way. We're excited for it. We are here. Let's get to one more question, a couple questions here. I know we're about to go over an hour. We want to do an hour show to kind of catch up with you guys and kind of let you know what we saw from the combine today. So this isn't technically, it's not like a full 2-hour show like we typically do, but it's more of a combine check-in, kind of get you guys caught up with everything. Jesse Adams, mailbag, did you guys see Mason Smith today? Did D-tackle out of LSU? Second question, how do we become a member? You could become a member. It's in the description, which you can find. I know it's hard on your phone, but under the YouTube title, you click on more. It's there, and you can find the link. If not, go to a prior video. It's always in the description how to become a member. And did we see D-tackle Mason Smith? No, we did not. We've probably seen some defensive tackles out here, but no, we did not. We did not see him out of LSU. But he's another massive human being. I know people are talking about too. Philly, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Philly wants him back. Not surprised.
Probably. But if we're talking about breaking news and all of that, like me being now an insider, about a month ago, I did break the news saying that fans in Philly they wanted CJ back. That's why I was telling Lions fans, hey, when CJ left there, they pushed CJ out last year, and they said, oh no, we don't care if CJ leaves, and he left, and there was that whole Philly fans, CJ Gardner-Johnson arguments on Twitter. All of that was going on. Halfway through the season, or towards the end of the season, Philly fans were like, "Oh man, we wish we had CJ Gardner-Johnson. We wish he was back." And now I'm sure now he's a free agent again. They were talking about it during the season.
I mean, it's realistic too. They need anything. They need any help over the middle, especially with Fletcher Cox getting old and him probably leaving. It looks like more and more the years go on that Jordan Davis, he could be a whiff in that. I think he was like 12th overall, and Jalen Carter, you still have to see some from him. He's obviously showed bright spots, but they need a linebacker. They need a safety. They need anything. And if CJ Gardner-Johnson, who's already played there and had success, goes back, I don't think anybody would be surprised at this point.
I see. Hey, Eric's in the chat, Mike. He says, shout out to Eric. He says, what about DeLoach's 40, my late round pick out of FSU? Honestly, did you guys catch DeLoach's 40? because I was locked in. We were kind of working / watching guys run 40. So a couple of us were watching, and a couple were, because it is hard. If you guys caught Deloach, I know you had him, Eric, but maybe one of the other guys caught him.
Kalen Deloach, 4.47, second fastest linebacker out of Florida State. Peyton Wilson was the only one at NC State, 4.43.
Mm-hmm.
Edrin Cooper, 4.51, third one. Shout out.
Oh, so he didn't even run today then. Linebacker. Yeah, never mind. That would be yesterday, I think. Dennis G, as of today, do you take Darius over Chop, and is it close? We went through this on yesterday about Chop. We would prefer Darius. I think Chop, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think the conclusion we came down to is we already have a Chop in James Houston, a guy that you play situationally, a pure pass rusher, guy that you can't play on rundowns. So I think for Darius Robinson, he's an NFL-ready run defender, Scott Bischoff said. And on top of that, we like the size, we like the length, we like the athleticism. And again, it's hard because he's also a former D tackle who's 300 pounds and he cut weight. So like the athleticism thing, you're judging a guy, comparing him to D ends. He was really a D tackle. I like Darius Robinson. I think we can all agree with that, right? Over Chop. Okay.
But Hunter's question, and Lucas could answer that. Hunter Dart asked, did any safety stick out to you guys today? Well, while we were talking to Mr. Harbaugh, Lucas here was locked in on the safeties. We did watch Kalen Bullock and a little bit of him, and then we walked away. So Lucas could answer this one.
I think Kalen Bullock had a very solid day. I don't think he really stuck out, but I didn't think he did anything to diminish his draft stock. I still think he's walking out of the combine as the number one safety. Who's the safety out of Utah that we were talking about? No, the other one that played running back and safety. Vaki, yeah. And the Lions actually met with him, I believe it was either today or yesterday, but he's a safety that also played running back. He was the only player in the country to have an interception and a touchdown, and he had multiple touchdowns, multiple interceptions. He's a difference maker. When you watch him go through his footwork and especially in the short distance with the cone drills, he's got that running back footwork. He has really good footwork. He has really good burst. And since the Lions met with him, I mean, you guys have heard me say multiple times that I think depth needs to be addressed in the safety room. So if Brad's seeing him, he's like, okay, you could play defense, you could play offense. That means you can probably play special teams. So if you can play special teams and we can develop you into a difference maker on the safety side, I think he's definitely late in the draft. He'd be a really good value pick. And then the safety out of Georgia, I've seen his name 1,000 times. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, Kalen Bullock and the safety out of Georgia are pretty much the two quote unquote top safeties, and they both pretty much held their own. But there wasn't too many people sticking out just because compared to corner, there's not even near the amount of safeties.
Yeah, to this question too, Shift God asked, was Javon Bullard there? Yes, he did.
That's the safety from Georgia.
Yep, that's Javon. Who you brought up there. And I think Kamar Lassiter was actually watching the entire time. He looked frustrated too. Kamar Lassiter looked really frustrated just after a couple of just the 3-cone drill. He didn't run the 40, but I do think it wasn't a great day there. Coach Walk, a member for 1 month, Gold Crunch member. Thank you, Coach Walk. He says, go to Elmo Steakhouse tomorrow for dinner. Get the shrimp cocktail and a steak. It's really good. See, Coach Walk.
Maybe we stay and then after dinner we leave.
There's multiple people who said that in the chat.
Yeah, no, we walked past that place like 4 times.
Tomorrow we hit Elmo's on the way out.
So we're not trying Raising Cane's.
No, I would rather go to Elmo's.
When the fuck did we say we were trying Raising Cane's?
I'm not saying it's a preference over that. All I'm saying is we don't have a Raising
executive decision. We're going to Elmo's instead of Raising Cane's.
All right,
I'm down. I am down for that.
Travis asked, are we going to get Booner Pass shirts? Yes, we are actually getting those made right now. There will be Lucas Ball Knower shirts, Jeff shirts, BMG shirts. So they're all being made right now. I think we previewed them on an episode a few ones back, but they'll be coming soon for sure.
And I want to speak on real quick on that. Also, besides the personalized shirts, we have limited design crunch time shirts that are like specialty, not just a logo. It's a whole clock design. It looks sick. It looks like something you'd buy at like a H&M or something. Like it's a sweet shirt. And we're gonna do those in limited bunches. That's how we're gonna do it. We'll have days where we sell. We have 50, 100 shirts that are available, and it's kind of first come first serve. That's how we're going to treat it, just because it's easy on our end to not buy more than you're selling, versus supply and demand. So we'll get that thing worked out. But yeah, the merch, man, we sell designs.
We're gonna have like Nelk Boy drops. Like we'll drop these designs, and when they're out, they're out. It's exciting, actually. I like that. That's an exciting way to do it.
Yeah. Jay Cruz said, "Are you guys getting jiggy with it tonight?" Well, I was getting some flack. I'm an old man. I feel like I don't know why. I'm beat.
I've got plans for us. We're at the NFL Combine. We need to go rub elbows. We need to go talk to go network a little bit. I've got a place. We're gonna go over to, I think it's the JW Marriott, where I'm guessing a lot of the people are, and some places we're gonna go network a little bit. We're gonna go talk to some people. Maybe we'll run into some executives. We already spoke with one agent in our hotel. I'm sure there's some other things we can go do tonight and go meet a few people. Get some contacts in the media. Maybe we can get some people to be on the show next week, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean that is going to happen. Maybe we'll run into Jim again. Maybe we'll get like a
Booner, is that you, Booner? It's crunch time. Yes, coach. It's me. I'm here.
Oh, that's funny. King Horse says we need a I'm drinking with Lucas shirt.
Hey, get it going. It's fair.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. We'll get one or two more questions here, then we'll end it. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We do, and we'll get more of an in-depth on Monday's show. For we have a full 2 hours, of course. Let's see. John Lord says, "Mailbag, are you guys allowed to Sticks Restaurant?" Well, of course we are. Sticks the man. We actually hang there a lot.
We're there for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, we were there for the Super Bowl, so great spot. Love Cicerelli's, man.
All right. Well, I think that's about it on the questions. I want to say before we end this, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. This was a lot of fun, fellas, and we got a lot of big things planned for tomorrow. We can't wait. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Official CT Pod to kind of get the updates, the content that you guys are wanting as it relates to the Detroit Lions and as it relates to the NFL Combine. We'll have it out as soon as we capture it, and that'll be on all our socials. Like I said, it's all above us. You can see it here if you're watching, if you're listening, of course, at Official CT Pod. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you. And Booner, before we go.
Yeah, real quick. First of all, I want to say I love you guys as well. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys, everyone, if you're watching, we have over 100 people watching at the moment, 128. Hit the like button for us, as well as make sure you guys, if you guys can do us a favor today, let me check. I want to check the updated analytics right now. We are 21 subscribers away from 4,000. That was our goal by the end of today, was to, at the end of the first day of the Combine, for us to hit 4,000. So share the stream with some people if you guys haven't already. When the stream's over, go comment, push it out, and go and tell some people to subscribe on it. Help the boys grow. We're slowly growing this thing, making trip. We're doing everything we can to keep this thing rolling for you guys. We love all you guys a ton. Coach Walk, appreciate the donate. Everyone else with the donations as well. Appreciate all of you guys. The Booner Path is alive. Booner Path starting in Indy right now, fellas. It's starting in Indy. And Lucas he's removing. I'm going to have to remove mine as well, too. I have my sticker here. That's going to have to go off.
Actually wasted one of those.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to take mine off as well.
Thanks for the computer, though.
We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys a ton. We will be back Monday. Make sure to go subscribe and follow all of these things here. We're going to be posting a ton of things for the wide receivers and quarterbacks tomorrow. We will see you guys, though, on Monday. Love you guys.